I was sitting at the kitchen table when I heard the door open. I was drinking coffee. I looked at the clock. It was 1 in the morning. My wife had said she would be home 30 minutes ago. I put the mug on the table, got up and went into the hallway where I could hear my wife taking off her jacket and shoes. I stood still for a moment, looking at my beautiful wife. We generally lead a pretty clean lifestyle, don't smoke, only have a couple of pints or glasses of wine on weekends, and both of us exercise. I keep fit through my job. I work in a warehouse lifting heavy packages. My wife works for a mortgage company. The building where she works has a gym, and she works out there a couple times a week. Both of us, despite being in our 50s, can easily look 5 years younger, and if some of our friends are to be believed, even earlier. My wife, as always, looked lovely in a classic evening gown. It skimmed her figure, showing it off perfectly from legs to breasts. It certainly wasn't a slut's dress, but it drew the eye to my wife's most attractive parts. She seemed to finally notice me. She raised her head and looked at me through her long brown hair. Finally, she managed to take off her shoes. Then she hung up her jacket. She straightened up and looked at me. "Sorry I'm a little late. It took a cab longer to get here from the club." She said this hoping I would believe her. "Of course, my love. I'm sure you do. But I have a few questions for you about tonight. So please go upstairs, take a shower and change, and then come to the kitchen." I tried to be cold as ice. No emotion, no sympathy. I wanted to be completely objective and know exactly what happened tonight. "Gary, please, let's do it in the morning. My feet hurt and I'm tired." She said this as she slowly headed for the stairs. "No, Corinna, it has to be done now or we will never speak again." Again, no emotion, no sympathy, not the slightest tinge in her voice. She nodded and went upstairs. I went back to the kitchen, boiled the kettle and made my wife some coffee and refilled some more for myself. About 10 minutes later, Corinna walked into the kitchen, dressed in a t-shirt and pajama shorts. She looked very cute and at the same time very sexy. I realized from her firm breasts that she wasn't wearing a bra, and a quick glance showed that she was only wearing shorts and nothing else. I could smell her shower gel and the small amount of perfume I had bought her a few weeks ago. She walked over to me and tried to hug me, but I held up my hand and stopped her. "Not yet, Corinna. I need answers first. Sit down and we'll get started. Just remember, if I don't like your answers or if I think you're lying to me, we'll break up. Do you understand?" "Yes, Gary, I understand. I just want you to know that I love you very much, and I always will, no matter what happens tonight. Remember, I am your wife, no one else, and I am your woman, no one else." I smiled briefly and said, "We'll see, won't we?" My lips twitched slightly as I tried to keep my emotions under control. I reminded myself to be ice cold. I sipped my coffee and Corinne did the same. "Okay, let's get started." I waited to see what my wife would respond. She sipped her coffee and nodded with a submissive expression on her face. "What time did you leave the house?" "A little after 9 p.m. "Okay. And you wore the same dress you came home in?" "Yes, Gary, it's the same dress, and don't forget you bought it for me." "Of course I did. You look great in it. Now don't change the subject. This is about you, and what happened tonight." "Yeah. Sorry, Gary. I don't want to make things difficult for us." "Okay, what happened when the cab driver dropped you off, by the way? Did you tip him?" "Well, I got out of the car and reached into my purse for my money, sorry, Gary, but the driver looked under my dress. I saw his eyes go from my face to my chest and back again several times. I think that was his tip." "Did you let him look under your dress, or was it an accident?" "I'm sorry, Gary. It was an accident. I didn't mean to do that. You know I would never do that on purpose." I saw a mischievous smile play across her lips. "Corinne, stop it. This is serious." "Okay. What happened next?" "Well, I met up with the girls from the office and ordered a few bottles of wine for 2, as well as some appetizers. Then we found a booth and split the appetizers and wine." I pondered this. What happened next, mind you? I know when you are lying to me and I know the truth, but I want you to tell me exactly what happened. Well, there were probably 7 of us, and you know most of them, and you know that their ages range from 25 to 55, and of course you know that some of us get a lot of people's attention, and you also know that we all get asked to dance, and sometimes more, especially the young, beautiful ladies in our group. Okay, do any of you dance with strangers? I looked at her intently, trying to gauge her reaction. No, Gary. I have never danced with strangers, and I only dance with people I know and trust. Yes, I've been asked out. Some men even sassed me. But the rest of my group joined in and we chased them away. They know I am happily married and they know that if I dance, it's only with you. But I like to show off my capabilities with the ladies. Okay, so you all had a good time. What happened afterward? Well, the younger women got up and danced as a group to different songs, and eventually I was dragged out onto the dance floor. After a few more dances, we all got carried away and had a good time. I sat through a few more dances, bought more wine for the other ladies, and bought myself a Coke. You know I can't drink more than 3 glasses of wine so I don't get sick. So what time did he show up? I tried my best to look stern and cold. I saw my wife's lip twitch again. She thought for a moment. It must have been around 11 p.m. when he approached our table. Of course he could have been at the club longer, I'm not sure. And what did he do next? Well, he looked like a gentleman in a shirt, pants, and jacket. The suit was gray with stripes down the bottom of the jacket and pants. I'll admit the color suited him, and he looked very handsome. I'm sorry, Gary, I didn't mean to say that. I tried to look upset and angry, but my wife's eyes met mine, and she swayed her body gently so that her breasts rippled from side to side. Corinne, stop it, I'm telling you again. Let me finish my questions. I was definitely losing this discussion. She lowered her eyes and stopped rocking her body, but a smirk still appeared on her face. She wasn't taking this seriously. Last warning, Corinna, if you don't take this seriously, one of us will be sleeping in the spare room. Okay, I'm sorry. Do you want to know what happened next? Yes, I do. Okay, he came up to me, said hi to me, and then took my hand and kissed it. He did what? I almost shouted. He kissed my hand and then formally asked me to dance. I looked stunned. A complete stranger walked up to you and kissed your hand and then formally asked you to dance. Did he see your wedding ring? Yes, Gary, he did. But I don't think it bothered him. After all, he had a ring too, and what's more, it was curved like yours. At those words, she shrugged. So, without thinking, you got up and danced with him? Is that true? Well, not immediately. I looked at the ladies in our group and wondered if I should do it after all. The man was very polite and looked very attractive in his suit. Although I got the impression he wasn't very comfortable in it, he kept adjusting his collar. So, the ladies, I suppose, agreed to have you dance with him? Yes. As a matter of fact, they all said that if I didn't do it, they would. So I let him take me to the dance floor. We danced to a couple of fast songs, then one of the ladies got up and turned to the DJ, and for some reason they asked for my favorite song. The song I danced with you at our wedding. WTF, Corinne, that's our song, Bon Jovi, Bed of Roses. It's our special song, how could you, on this special day? I put my hand on my forehead and just put it there. I'm so sorry, Gary, I didn't know they were going to pick that song. Gary, this is really hurting you, isn't it? Do you want to keep asking questions, or do you want me to tell you what happened? I pulled my hand away and looked at my wife. Damn, was she laughing at me? I could see she was trying her best not to smile. I was close to losing my temper. Okay, what happened next? Try to keep it short. I was quickly losing my edge. During the song, he pulled me to him, and I felt him through my dress. It felt really nice. He didn't stick his hands where they didn't belong, at least not right away. I admit I got carried away. I put my head on his shoulder and pressed myself tightly against him. I'm sorry, Gary, but I couldn't help it. I pressed my whole body against him and began to move slowly toward him. I want you to know that he feels just like yours. She paused and looked at me. Are you okay? You look a little red. I'm fine, Corinna, go on, said I, a little out of breath. Well, nothing else, except that he rubbed up against me for 5 minutes and I was hot. I'm sorry, Gary, but it's going to be hard on you. We both looked at each other, and I realized I wanted him and, more importantly, he wanted me. I turned to my group, and they all gave a thumbs up, but also looked a little flushed. I guess their boyfriends and husbands were in for a good night, so they took my hand, and we walked out the service door into the parking lot. She paused to catch her breath, and I realized she was horny, and I was too. Okay, I'm not really sure I want to know what happened next, but tell me anyway, I said with a sigh. Okay. He pulled me over to a blue Ford Fiesta. He turned me around and put me on my back. Then he leaned over and kissed me on the lips. I looked my wife in the eye and raised an eyebrow questioningly. She shook her head slightly and then closed her eyes. Corinna, this has gone too far. What happened when he touched you and kissed you? Did you respond? Yes, Gary, I responded. I'm sorry, but I was so hot and horny, and so was he. I was so hot, and then I felt him flip me over on my stomach and pull my dress up, and I remembered I was lying on my car in just my underwear at night in the middle of the parking lot. It was so hot and naughty. We both frankly stroked ourselves and passionately made love. Just as we started to separate, a cough was heard. We both froze and slowly turned around to see Corinna's manager, Julie. She was a middle-aged woman with silver hair and a slender body and a close friend to both of us, standing in the kitchen with a very red and flushed face. Sorry to interrupt, but I thought your wife might want her panties back. Corinna? You should have made sure the door was locked before you started a game like that. She was grinning from ear to ear. I pulled away from my wife with as much dignity as I was capable of, then stepped back, picked up my clothes, and started putting them back on Corinna. Julie turned away so we could sort things out between us. Corinna started to walk over to Julie, but Julie raised her hand. Mrs. Smith, look at the state you're in. You're not hugging me. I'll see you Monday at work, Gary. Thanks for the show. My husband is so fucked tonight. Here's your underwear. And by the way, Gary, you need to wash your blue Ford. It's got stripes on the hood. One more thing. Your wife left a trail behind her. I think quite a few people saw your show. She laughed as she said this. Thanks, Julie. I'm glad you enjoyed the show. I think Corinna and I enjoyed the game too. Thanks for suggesting it. Julie blushed. You're welcome, Gary. I knew Corinne wanted to see you at the club, and I thought this way you could surprise her. Anyway, I'll leave you lovebirds to it. Good night. As she closed the door, Corinne slammed it shut. It's a little late for that, I said, hugging my wife. We both laughed out loud, turned off the lights, and staggered upstairs to the bathroom. We both needed a shower, and we obviously shared the water.